Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen. This is year 5 of our podcast and a brand new episode for you. Been away for a little while. Had kind of a medical thing going on, and with that, wanted to thank the great staff, the doctors and nurses and the therapists and everybody, even people who brought the food at both Credit Valley Hospital and Mississauga Hospital. God bless you for helping me get through all of this. And we have a brand new theme song. You'll notice that as well. That's by Bike Thieves. It's my son's band. And the introduction is done by my 6-year-old granddaughter. So it's a 3-generational thing, only because it's for free. I couldn't be happier to have my first guest back, multi-award-winning singer-songwriter, author, podcaster, actor, member of Canada's Walk of Fame, and a member of the Order of Canada, plus a whole bunch of other different titles. But last time I went through the whole list, she just looked at me and rolled her eyes, so I figured I'll cut it short. Jann Arden, how are you?
I'm excellent.
You look great.
I really am excellent. I have nothing to complain about. Tomorrow I leave for 7 weeks, which is a bit of a stretch, but I've got a fairly extensive Christmas tour. And right in the middle of that Christmas tour, I'm in Europe for 8 or 9 days. I've got a job over there. I'm doing a Christmas concert in Vienna for a group of Canadian people. So that's going to be really exciting. And then I'm back to finish off the tour, and I should be home Christmas Day. So it's a bit of a slog, but my biggest concern always is just not getting a cold or not getting sick.
Yeah, I guess not. I guess what do you do if that happens? You just cancel? Bang.
Yeah, the last year I made it to the very last 2 shows, which were Calgary, and I had bronchitis and I could barely breathe, never mind sing. So it's just part of what happens this time of year. I mean, I travel alone basically, and washing my hands and masking and, all the vaccines and all things like that, but it still happens. And I don't even have kids. Most of my friends who have grandkids and kids are like, it's a petri dish. They're like human petri dishes. They bring everything over.
Yes, I know that feeling. I have as I mentioned, a 6-year-old granddaughter, and I know exactly what you're saying. Were you caught up in this whole Blue Jay thing, by the way, out in Alberta?
A little bit. I'm not a huge sports person, but you couldn't help but be part of the positivity that swept across the country. And obviously it's very exciting. I think you would have been brain dead to not feel the excitement, the love, the patriotic Canadians are. It's kind of an oxymoron to say that because we're pretty laid back, but I think it came down to that Canada versus the U.S. vibe, and obviously it came right down to the wire. Yeah,
I mean, it was something that we really needed, and it really did galvanize the entire country, and it was exciting. It was great.
Yeah.
We lost,
But a great story, the team, the camaraderie of the team, and there was just so many personal stories that came out of all the players, and I think, even people in the States were absolutely cheering for Canada. So that was pretty cool.
I know, and I was laughing because I was thinking, well, it doesn't matter who wins if it's the Dodgers from the dreaded state of California or that Canadian foreign team. His head's going to explode. He won't be able to have anybody come to the White House.
No, I think he hates anything happening in California, and he can't stand us. So, but this week there's been so much good news coming out of some of these elections in the United States. I mean, Zoran elected mayor of New York City. This is a man that was immigrated to the United States in 2018. So if there was ever the American dream story, this man encapsulates it, and he has just won the hearts of every single New Yorker.
And he's like 36.
And it's but he's on the right side of everything.
Yeah,
he's for the people, and that's what government is supposed to be. Anyway, it was exciting. There were so many women in Virginia, in deep red states. Women of color were winning. Beating Republicans that were backed by the Trump administration. So I think people are realizing that he is not for anybody but himself. So I think there's a changing of the guard.
I don't want to get. This is not a political podcast, and I don't want to get too much into it. But it's important to
Hmm.
see that change can come because people start thinking, well, you know what, the country's screwed for the next 3 years. He's just going to do whatever he can. And I said, no, I don't think that's true because he's got a midterm he's got to face, and what we saw last night, because it was last night, it had changed. I mean, a lot of jaws just dropped. If that continues next year and at the midterms, he doesn't have. He's a lame duck president.
People, I think, are good for the most part, and it's just nice to see people getting up and voting.
Yeah.
It's an old story, but you have to vote. You can't complain and be apathetic. You just have to get out there and vote
Hmm.
and make your voices heard.
I want to change subjects here. I heard
Yeah.
you were on a podcast with a good friend, Jeff Samet, who deals with people who take care of their parents and who are not
Hmm.
well. And you
Yeah.
talked about your mother's dementia, and you talked about how humor played a major role in it, and the importance of humor when you're helping somebody who's dealing with a critical illness. And for some people,
Yeah.
they think, how can you find humor in that at all?
Oh God, you have to. I think anything can be funny, and I'm one of those people. A lot of people will say, "Is that too soon?" I don't think it is too soon. I think humor can be misunderstood sometimes, and it's not disrespectful for the most part. It certainly wasn't on my end of the pool. But my parents both had dementia. My dad had vascular dementia. My mom had Alzheimer's, all in the realm of the memory loss diseases that happen to people. But yeah, I mean, when I finally started kind of laughing at the ridiculous predicament that I found myself in, things got so much easier. It was easier for them. They didn't always know what I was laughing about, but they would laugh along. And mom would say, "What are you laughing about?" And I said, "Well, I'm laughing because you're laughing." And she goes, "I'm laughing because you're laughing." So it's, you're not going to beat it. You're not
No.
going to win. It is going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. It's going to get harder and harder and harder. So there's a choice to be made. You either succumb to that or you throw your shoulders back and you kind of enjoy the ride. It's hard being a person, but there's a way through it. And you've got to stop correcting people, period. Number one, cardinal rule, stop correcting people that have memory loss. Do not correct them. They're going to repeat themselves 3,000 times. Answer them. Yeah, guess what? It's hard. Yeah, guess what? It's going to be frustrating, but you are capable of facing things like that. And lean on your friends. It's people are like, "Jan, are you worried about getting Alzheimer's?" I'm like, "I'm not worried about it, but you should be because I'm not going to know shit, but you're going to be wiping my ass. So get ready."
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And along the same lines, the CBC has launched a television program which features it's a talk show, but the people proposing the questions are all people who are they're on the autism spectrum. What was that like? And
Neurodivergent. Yeah, it was incredible. It was probably the best interview I've ever had. I had 30, neurodivergent, autistic young people asking me anything they wanted to ask me. So there was nothing that was,
yeah,
um, left unsaid. They
was what
were asking me all kinds of questions.
was it the way you thought it was going to be?
Yeah, yeah. I'd seen the UK version of it,
Right.
and it's just I've always been very straightforward and open about things in my life, with whether it's my brother who was in jail for murder for 3 decades, or my personal life or my parents' health journey. I mean, I just sometimes it seems incredibly boring to me. My life seems really boring because I've been asked questions so many times, but these guys seem to make it fun. They can make fun of themselves and they can ask really serious things with kind of a glint in their eye because they want to they want to somehow put you in a position where you're uncomfortable. And it's not malicious. It's just not malicious. It's like, we seriously want to know, how did you overcome this? What do you do for your mental health? How do you get past anxiety? What do you do when you feel really blue or you get rejected? Like, they earnestly wanted to know. So it was a wonderful show to be part of.
And how do you deal with your anxiety? Because I deal with anxiety.
Yeah,
And
I don't have a lot of anxiety, Ted. When I quit drinking 10 years ago, I stopped being depressed, like low level depression, and I just stopped having anxiety. But that's just not how my brain works. I'm just not wired that way. So
yeah.
it's never really been part of my life, even as a kid. I mean, I've had a little bit of stage fright and things like that, but I walk a lot, I exercise a lot,
Hmm.
I don't drink alcohol, I don't eat meat. I mean, I don't do caffeine. So all these little markers along the way, it's amazing. It sounds kind of esoteric and new agey, but when you stop doing things that literally affect you physically, it's amazing what difference it makes. So
Yeah,
I
well,
feel
for
very
sure.
fortunate. Yeah, I don't get a lot of anxiety. No.
No, I'm glad to hear that. I want to talk to you about
Yeah.
something that hit me when I was looking at your tour that's coming up here, because when you look online, it says it refers to it as Jann Arden's holiday show, and then one of the other dates is Jann Arden's Christmas show. What's the difference? Like, is a holiday
Uh,
show just like about not?
a holiday show from a Christmas show?
Yeah,
I mean, we do secular and non-secular music. It's Christmas, so I don't know. It's definitely around the holiday season, but I don't think you need to be. I don't think Christmas has anything to do with Jesus. Myself these days, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but I maybe know two people out of the thousands of people I know that are celebrating any kind of birth of Jesus. And Jesus wasn't born at Christmas time to begin with. He was probably born in October. And I'm a very spiritual person and I love the holidays because it actually is a great thing for people to celebrate.
yeah,
Just family, being together, having meals together. We all live such fast paced lives. And this is part of our cultural traditions. I think it's really swayed. The pendulum has swung very away from a religious celebration. Yeah, there's a billion Catholics in the world, but maybe they're doing something more Jesus-y at Christmas. But I never ever felt that as a kid growing up. Christmas was Santa Claus, and it had nothing to do with going to church or anything like that. And that was most of the kids that I knew in rural Alberta. I don't
yeah.
recall anybody going to church at Christmas time.
But
That's just how I was raised.
it always had to do with doing good things. It was receiving gifts, but it was also making sure that other kids had gifts, whether it was the
Yeah.
local church or whether there was a community center. They were collecting gifts for those who were less fortunate. So it's a giving time of the year, but it's not.
Yes.
And unfortunately, that kind of gets blown out of proportion too because of the corporate side of it. But and
Yeah.
now with what's going on in politics and how politics has invaded religion, especially in the United States, it's turned so many people off religion that it's like, like, wait a minute, you celebrate the birth of Christ, and so does this guy, and this guy is like a whack job, and you actually seem to care about people. Is there two different Jesuses? Maybe you just take a pass on that and just celebrate the gathering with
Uh,
friends.
it's all just a way for people to lord themselves and feel bigger. It's just a magnificent form of bullying. Usually religious rhetoric is I'm better than you and you're nothing. I mean, religion I think has torn the modern world apart. It has shredded them. You don't need to look any further than the Middle East to understand the precarious nature of what religion
Yeah.
does, and especially right-wing extreme religion on both sides of the fence. So, there's people that genuinely have a spiritual connection to a higher power. And those are usually the ones that help everybody, that work at food banks, the ones that are truly spiritual, good people that,
Hmm.
if you need to be patted on the back for doing something good, then it's really kind of a moot point. You have to do things with the absence of reward. So, and what I mean by that is if you're doing something good because you think it's going to get you into heaven, that is a moot point. That's not a good action. You do them because it's the right thing to do and it's the moral thing to do. And that's what being a human is. It's a sense of community. There's so much virtue signaling out there and people that make sure they tell you they've done something good.
Yeah.
And really giving of your time. That's what's important, is going and lending a hand. And I can do a hell of a lot better. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I do is charity driven things, but I'll tell you, to be honest, I get paid for those things because in order to make money, they put on events where it draws people to big dinners or big auctions or something. So, but I'm always somewhat more comfortable in participating in those things where I know that my appearance is raising, a couple
And
$100,000 to build a woman's shelter. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, and I've had this discussion with people over the years where they say, "Well, geez, so and so's doing a concert to raise money for the local hospital, but she's charging for it." And I said, "Well, that's what she does for a living. You can't be giving away your career, your livelihood, because you could do a charity gig 52 weeks a year, but how are you going to buy your groceries? How are you going to pay your mortgage? I mean, it's silly to
Yeah.
believe that someone should just give it up completely and do it all for free."
Yeah, it is. It's always a conflict, though, but there is a balance to it. And
Yeah.
I feel good about how I make my way through the world. I don't, I do a lot of things that I'm always proud of. And I think my mom and dad, as flawed as they were always people that did things for their community. They were always helping neighbors, pouring a garage. Like my dad was a concrete guy. I can't tell you how many freebies that he went to help, the neighbors make sure they had a sidewalk going out into out to their driveway. Just, he was one of those guys. He was kind of an asshole, my dad, but the neighbors loved him, and he was always good to other people, but kind of crappy to us. So, but that's a very typical story too.
Now,
But music is magical. It really is. It's a magical thing.
do you believe in karma?
I do and I don't. Once again, that punishment and reward idea, I think, tangles people up.
Yeah.
I, I believe, your character has a lot to do with your fate, and I really feel like intentions are pretty big things. Thoughts are things, but as far as karma, we see it all the time. If karma was, an active neurological quantum physics type of a reaction, we wouldn't see people like Trump in office. We wouldn't see war. I liken it very much to the idea of religion, where bad people are punished and good people are rewarded. And it simply does not work that way.
No.
Children get leukemia. A 2-year-old dies from malaria. Like, fuck, it's just not.
I know.
Don't rely on karma to solve your problems. I guess that's what I'm saying.
But on the other hand, as you wake up every morning, as you head out, do good things, and hopefully those things come back to you. And if they don't, you still get the satisfaction of doing good things, or at least you should.
Yeah, I've faced a lot of hard things in my life. I've made an incredible amount of mistakes, and I was, I haven't always been the version of myself that I am now. But I just keep trying. I just keep trying to get it right. I have a friend of mine that says there are people that try and there are people that don't try. And I absolutely believe that. That's how this world is split up. There's people that try to do something, anything. And there's people that simply do not give a shit.
Ted Woloshyn returns in a moment.
I've had the great fortune to say that I've been associated with one of Toronto's finest names in men's clothing for more than 25 years. Tom's Place. Founded by Tom Mahalick's father in 1958, Tom's Place offers brand name men's apparel at unbeatable prices. But more than that, they boast a long-serving, knowledgeable, and friendly staff that can assist you whether you're looking for casual or formal attire. And they have plenty of first-class tailors on site. In addition, Tom and his family are well known for their philanthropic work. So if you're looking to deal with great people who can fulfill your clothing desires at outstanding prices, do yourself a favor and visit Tom's Place. They're open weekdays from 11 to 6, Saturdays 10 to 5, and Sundays noon to 5. You'll find Tom's Place at 190 Baldwin in the heart of Kensington Market. Or check them out online at toms-place.com. Tom's Place will suit you.
Now back to Ted Woloshyn.
I'm a huge fan of Christmas music, or seasonal music, as it were. Because I mean, "Sleigh Ride" is
Yeah.
one of my favorite songs, and that's not really a religious song at all. Yeah, and it brings back different memories. For me, "Sleigh Ride" was the song that they played when Santa came on every day at 4:30 on the Buffalo stations, brought to you by William Hangerer. I'm seriously, the department store.
Yeah.
He was on for like 20 minutes, and as soon as I heard that music, man, I just came running into the room. I mean, I was just so full of joy, and that sticks with me, and has stuck with me for way too many years. Is
Yeah,
there a,
it's very
is
Pavlovian. It's great
yeah,
memories.
it
It's core
is. I know.
memories. But we always had, Christmas songs on in the house. My parents both loved Christmas music, and now they start playing it November the 1st.
Yeah, there's a
It used
question
to
I
kind of
want to
start
ask you.
December the 1st.
I want to ask you as an artist, and I know this may be a tricky question because you don't want to insult any stations that play your music, but when is too early to play Christmas music at a radio station?
I don't. Whenever they want to start playing it, it doesn't bother me at all. There's a thing called free will. You turn it off.
Right.
So I don't have a problem with it. If you want to start October the 1st, go for it. Like, I just don't have an issue with it. I have just bigger things that I'm concerned about.
Yeah.
And yeah, it doesn't bother me. I just turn the station, and I don't listen to terrestrial radio that much anymore. And I don't think anybody does.
Yeah.
Radio's kind of struggling. I mean, when you and I started talking in the 90s, it was a far different
Totally
geography
different.
as far as talk radio, how people consume music, how hit songs kind of generated themselves. So yeah, I don't know. It doesn't bother me. I'll just tune into something else.
How did you go about selecting what Christmas or seasonal music that you'll play on your tour?
Well, I concentrate a lot on my record that I did, and believe me,
Yeah.
the record is 10 years old now.
Is it
In
really?
fact, it just went platinum this
Excellent.
year. It finally sold platinum, like actual hard copy discs and albums, which blows my mind that it took 10 years to go platinum, which I will take, no problem. But, it took us a long time. I did that record with Bob Rock, who is unbelievably talented. Here's a guy that does Metallica and AC/DC and me.
Yeah.
So it was great to work with him, but it took us a long time to choose the songs. And I think there's 11 or 12 songs on the record. It's
How,
hard. There's literally thousands of Christmas songs out
yeah.
there.
So how do you go about picking a producer who's got that kind of a background, and how does he react when you say, "Are you familiar with my music? Are you interested in working with me?"
Bob has got the same manager as me. Bruce Allen looks after Bob, and I've known him for years and years and years. And we
Okay.
had done two records before that Christmas album, so it was just a perfect match for us to get together and do it. And we actually worked in my house a lot. He
Hmm.
came here with a keyboard player, and we worked out a lot of the arrangements, and it was relatively straightforward. We have very similar tastes, actually. We've done a lot of writing together over the years, so it was a
Cool.
good match for us.
Murdoch Mysteries. Your line
Yes.
afterwards, which is all over the internet. You can see it on the little YouTube clip where do you know what I'm talking about? Your quote as you address the cast and say, "I am the."
Yeah, it was a tweet that I made just a few years ago, and I just said, I think I'm the last sort of actor in Canada that has not made an appearance on Murdoch Mysteries. And so the last 2 or 3 years, we've been trying to figure out when our schedules would work and what kind of a part they could do. So it was fascinating. I mean, this is a franchise that's so unbelievably successful. I
Hey,
think they're in
as
over
is it
100
ever?
countries and 19 seasons. Some of the cast members, were young people when they started, and now they have grandchildren. So that's how fast it can go. Uh, Excellent costume department. The sets are magnificent. Shaftesbury's done an amazing job.
Yeah, and a great time you had those 3 days or 4 days or whatever it
It
was.
was it was 4 days. Yeah, it was really, really fun. My character's name is Pippa Pearson, and I think the episode will be out in February of next year. It takes them a while to, edit these things and turn them around. But I think each season is like 22 episodes. They just work tirelessly They work 8 months out of the year. So these actors are literally, it's like being on a soap opera.
I had Yannick on my podcast a number of years ago, and we talked about that fine line that they walk on that program between reality and fantasy when they introduced characters, whether it be Alexander Graham Bell or whether it be Tesla, whatever, right? And to kind of bring it into the Canadian feel, and it's really fascinating. And I give the writers a hell of a lot of credit for managing to pull that off in a believable fashion and entertaining fashion.
Yeah, I would imagine. I don't know how they do it. It's interesting because they started in 1895 in the series.
Right.
The girls were wearing bustles, so they had those big things coming off their bottoms. Those big poofy skirts.
Why did they ever wear
was,
those? By the way, what was the point of that?
Fashion is nuts, and it was just considered all the rage. But anyway, now we've been at 1912 for a while here, and there's a real reluctance to move into the First World War, which I don't think they're going to do. So that is another part of the series, I think, that defies imagination a little bit, because they're not going to be going into men signing up for, they would have lost, 3/4 of the cast. Those men would have passed away in the First World War.
You're right.
So it's a very tricky line to go over. Yeah. So we'll see where Murdoch ends up. They might be in 1912 for the next 10 years. I don't know how that works, but it's going to be interesting to see how they navigate that.
Listen, the Flintstones kids never aged, and that lasted for years, right?
Well, humans age, unfortunately.
Yes,
and,
I know they do.
Year after year, you just look different. And so, they'll decide what to do. I think it's hard to turn your back on money, and it's hard to turn your back on millions and millions of fans that religiously watch this show.
Yeah.
I have a Samsung television, and I have a condo in Toronto. I work there so much that I bought a place like 6 or 7 years ago, but I don't have cable. I just bought a Samsung TV that's has all these channels that come with it, but They're really weird channels. And one of them is Murdoch Mysteries 24 hours a day. And they just repeat them ad nauseum. They just go around and around for 19 seasons. So
they're doing that with Schitt's Creek as well. They're giving them a 24-hour channel.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what deals they make. Somebody's obviously getting paid for that, but it's really interesting to.
Yeah.
I hadn't really watched Murdoch Mysteries all that much, on occasion, but I certainly have not caught up on 19 seasons. I think that would take me 2 years of solid viewing to catch up.
Yes. And then you might lose it a little bit, because after a while you have to get back and look at the calendar and go, whoa, wait a minute, it's 2025 here. So,
it would be hard to get them in order.
Yeah, well, that's true. Tell me about the cruise you've got coming up. You're doing the French Riviera?
I'm going actually from Budapest to Munich.
Oh, okay.
So I've worked with Scenic for quite a few years, and I just go on and just do a concert. Sometimes you can do them on the ships, like some of them, like the super yachts, have an actual beautiful state-of-the-art theater. I did Fiji, I think, last year, and did a couple of concerts on the ship. You just fly in and do these shows and fly out. But, this year I'll be leaving actually in 3 weeks. And I have a lot of friends that join me on these things, so it's really fun for me. And we're playing in a beautiful hall in Vienna. Wow. And doing our Christmas show there. So, yeah, it's amazing. I think they do a really good job. It's I think it's something, if you ever have a chance to go, it's so well worth it. It's a really unique experience. It's not cheap, but like I said, it's one of those bucket list things that is well worth saving for and going to do.
You get to relax on those cruises, or you're constantly approached by people?
No. We do a Q&A, and I think after the first couple of days, people are, very acclimated and hanging out. And I don't mind talking to people, and it's small. It's like 120 people. It's not a huge group. My biggest challenge is not getting COVID and not getting Norval virus. Whenever you have groups of people on a small vessel, you are always in danger of, getting something. So I just wash my hands constantly, and I'll be one of those people wearing a mask on the plane going over. I mean, it's just part of being in the world now. And people
Yeah.
might look at you and think, "Oh God, you're a loser for doing that." But I really am mindful. I don't want to get anything.
No,
It
I know what you're
affects,
saying.
if I have to cancel shows, it's really hard. It's a pain in the ass for the agents, for the people who have bought tickets, for my management company, for the band and the crew that,
Yeah.
are making a living being on the road. So I have to look after myself.
Yes, you do. And you've done a good
Hmm.
job, by the way.
Well, God knows I try. You want to put bubble wrap on yourself and just, I don't know, put yourself in some kind of a plastic tube and be shipped around. But, you have to move about the world. So I have my fingers crossed, Ted. I don't want to get a chest cold. I don't want bronchitis. I don't want a cold. I don't want anything. So we'll see what happens.
You don't consider yourself like paranoid or anything, though.
I'm not paranoid at all. I
No.
just think that's the basic truth of
Yeah.
traveling, and especially when you go overseas and do things. And everybody knows that when you're on, I mean, imagine those cruises that have 3,000 people and 2,000 staff. So
No.
you're on a ship with 5,000 people eating buffets and in very small spaces. Like I would never do that. These are very, very different. They're done so beautifully well. They're small. You're on a river. It's
I
funny.
just,
They always
I know. I
go
was just
ahead.
going to say, I think back of the days before COVID when when you'd have like community barbecues and picnics and things, and everything was just so wide open, and just a barbecue pit or a gas barbecue, and nobody had masks. Nobody was really washing up. People sneezing everywhere and doing, and like it didn't seem like any big deal. But then all of a sudden, COVID came and people went, "Oh, reality, not good."
Well, it wasn't a big deal, unless you want to look at a flu in 1917 that wiped out millions and millions
Yeah,
of people. Occasionally there's something that happens on the planet that the human beings aren't quite prepared for. But you can ask anybody. There's a lot more respiratory stuff now, and these
yeah,
viruses are getting very clever. And it's not about being paranoid. There's some people that are complete denial. There was guys dying from COVID that were begging for the vaccine on their deathbeds.
yeah.
So this is the ridiculous of people that deny science, that think it's just a flu, that don't think they're in danger. And so many of those people died, and their last breaths were spent begging to get a vaccine. It's like, dude, it doesn't work like that.
No,
So I think you're always, you got to err on the side of caution and be well. My friends have kids and they're like living petri dishes. They bring home everything, like I was saying.
yeah, yeah.
And you have a granddaughter.
Yep.
Well, I'm sure.
Well, she
I'm sure
doesn't.
she's
She doesn't live with me, so that's I'm fortunate
no,
in
but I
that sense.
mean,
But yeah,
yeah,
I
you
know.
probably get everything, but I'm mindful. I do what I can out there, and I do get vaccinated. And you
Yeah.
guys can phone in and complain to Ted, but I get vaccinated. I get a flu vaccine. I get
Yeah.
shingles vaccines. I get a COVID vaccine. I've had 6 shots. I'm waiting till I go to Ontario to get a vaccine shot because in Alberta they charge you $150 for it. So I'm uh, I'm going to go and get one at the Shoppers Drug Mart in Ontario.
Yes, I have
Yeah.
a small pharmacy run by wonderful people, and that's where I go for all my shots. And they're very.
Yeah.
She laughs at me, the pharmacist. She says, "If you cry,
Why does she?
I'm not going to give you any candy."
Oh. No, you're not going to get a ring and a sucker, so forget it. But everyone's different, and how you want to make your way through your own healthcare, it doesn't bother me. I have absolutely zero judgment. I had lots of friends that didn't get vaccinated. We got on quite well.
Yeah.
I have no judgment, and everyone has to make their own minds up of what works for them. And I think that's where the problem was on this last big go around is how they pitted people against each other, and you had to have this to go into a restaurant. They really didn't know how to proceed with a virus that they'd never seen before. So
No,
there
they
was a
didn't.
lot of mistakes made. You think people are going to, they're going to make people stay at home for a year and a half now? That will never happen again in our
No,
lifetime.
no, and I
People
don't.
will not be that.
No, and I don't think you're going to see people washing their food that they purchased from the local grocery store when they come home either. Because they were doing
Well,
that.
only time will tell. We found out what worked and what didn't work,
Yeah.
but anyways, we can't judge each other. Just
No.
be easy on people. They're going to make choices about their own health, and you can make your own mind up, and you should be able to do that. I really believe that.
Jann Arden's tour begins November 17th in Belleville. After a couple of shows there, she takes a break and comes back to Ontario with a whole whack of shows, including the great state of Mississauga, where I am, and right through to Kingston on December the 20th.
I think I'm on in Mississauga on the 14th of November. Actually, we start on the 14th of November in Mississauga.
Oh, I thought you were on the 16th of December for some reason.
No, we're for the 14th of November in Mississauga. And you can just check jannarden.com for all the tour dates, and you'll find us on there. That's the best way to go.
Gonna have to give my researcher a hard time.
No, that's okay. No, I'd be missing 3 shows. Oh, are you your researcher?
Who
Damn
else
it.
is going to be my researcher?
Well, your granddaughter. She's 6 now. She can go on the internet.
Yes, she can. Yes, you're right. She can. Jann, it's a real thrill chatting with you. Thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it so much, as usual.
Thank you, Ted. We'll see you soon. I'm glad you're feeling shipshape and you're
I'm
upright
getting there.
again.
I am.
Good.
You don't see me grimace, but I'm getting there. And thanks
Okay,
to
I'm glad to hear that.
Thanks very much. Take care.
Yay.
Yeah, that'll do it for another episode. And don't forget, we'll be back. Check us out on our website, www.tedwalliston.ca, and fill out your organ and tissue donation card. You could change or even save a life. Have a great week.